Hey James, hope you're doing well today. I'm assuming you'd be doing a little bit better if you had the title to that car, but in situations like this, I can only talk from my experiences and things that I've dealt with. This is actually something that fortunately I've never dealt with this exact issue. I have dealt with a similar issue. I bought a Jeep Wrangler probably a year ago that I actually paid off the guy's loan. It was at a Navy Federal Credit Union. I paid off his loan and he was supposed to send me the title. He seemed like a pretty straight up guy. But I waited and waited and waited. The title never came. And eventually I went to the DMV and was able to get them to tell me who the lien was with, which was not easy because they generally don't do that. But as a dealer, they told me it was with a place called Deals on Wheels in, I think, Fayetteville, North Carolina. So I called them. They couldn't give me any information as far as how much was owed because I was just gonna have to pay it off because I didn't figure he would be able to do anything. He was active military, so I called, couldn't get up with him. Finally, his wife responded and said he was going to be back, and she gave me a date. When he got back, he got with me, and he said he had forgot that loan was there. Whether he did or not, I highly doubt that he forgot that he owed $500 to somebody. But long story short, I ended up having to pay the $500. He was going to actually pay half. And when we got closer to it, I couldn't get in touch with him. I called him and couldn't get up with him. Eventually I sent him a text and said, hey man, I know things are tough. I'd be more than willing to pay the full amount if you'll just meet me over there. And anyway, so I didn't want to pay the full amount, but it was the only way I was going to get a title. And without a title, you're kind of stuck. The only thing you've got is basically a parts vehicle. So for me, I had to pay the $500. I received the title and I was good to go. Now there are instances, depending on who the bank in the situation was. If it's an actual bank, there are options, or if it was financed through a dealership, there are options. Obviously, banks and dealerships both go out of business. If it was from a dealership, you can actually file a complaint. If you're in Oklahoma, you need to go to the Oklahoma DMV, and you need to talk to the vehicle inspector. At least in North Carolina and a lot of other states that I'm familiar with, they're called inspectors. They're the people that are over the car dealership side of the DMV. You would need to file a written complaint. If a written complaint is filed, they're required to at least investigate, and they'll have all the information on who the dealership was and how to contact said dealership. Now if it was through a bank, it's a little different. If it was an FDIC insured bank, when you walk into your whatever bank you deal with, they usually have a little plaque on the thing, on the counter there, and it'll say all funds insured up to $100,000 FDIC, and that's to give people security for depositing funds into a bank because it's backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. Now that being said, if a bank was to go out of business and they were FDIC, you should be able to contact, and I actually read a quick article just a second ago relating to this, so that it might be helpful for you. I'll put a link to that below this video so you can take a look at it. So hopefully that would be helpful. Now if it was a non-FDIC bank, honestly I'm not 100% sure the process there. Again, I've never fortunately dealt with this issue before, but regardless, I would assume if there is a lien still remaining, that unfortunately you're going to be responsible for that if you've purchased the vehicle. So depending on how much the lien is for and depending on the type of vehicle, that would play into your decision to pay it off. Unfortunately, that happens. People aren't honest in situations like that. My dad got burnt with a BMW Z3. It's been over 5 years ago, but he bought one. A guy, said he just needed money real quick and wanted to sell the car. My dad bought the car, and there was over $4,000. It may have been more than that. It was enough to where it didn't make sense for my dad to pay it off, and he bought it to sell. He bought it to flip, so it didn't make sense. He actually ended up losing he gave the guy $2,000, and so he ended up losing $2,000. Couldn't get any of it back because the guy, there was no contract. It was just on a handshake, and unfortunately the guy wasn't very honest, so my dad lost the money. And hopefully that's not going to be your situation here. If you get this resolved, if you figure it out, please follow up with me because I'm sure someone else will have this question in the future. And again, I wish I knew exactly what to tell you. I can just give you those guidelines that I've dealt with in the past, and the FDIC article I just read. So hopefully that is helpful. And again, please let me know the follow-up there, and best of luck on that. Have a good day.